Well, hello again. And again, I was looking at some more of this hilarious pushback from the ET Fanboy Club, and this is really quite amusing. You know, in the previous video, I was saying, well, Ross Coulthart has told us he knows exactly where this alien spacecraft crashed outside the US. So large they couldn't move it, they had to put a building over it, but he can't tell us where it is. That's investigative journalism at its best. Anyone would think it was just a made-up load of piffle, really, wouldn't they? I mean, it would be easy to fall into that trap. Now, apparently, someone, I was looking at this Troubled Head show, or whatever it's called, with Matt somebody or another, and someone asked that question. They said, you know, Ross Coulthart has told us that he knows exactly where this alien spacecraft is, but he can't tell us. Why doesn't he take somebody, 60 minutes, spotlight, group of people, and show them where the crashed alien spacecraft is that was so large they had to put a building over it? Show them the alien spacecraft. Game over, as I said yesterday, you know. All over Red Rover, done, dusted, proven, new business, proven. ET's coming here, ET's crashing here, new business. And apparently, someone asked him that question. Now, I, of course, you know, think it's because it's science fiction codswallop. But apparently, it's because Ross Coulthart Ross Coulthart fears for his life. He's had death threats. If he reveals where this alien spacecraft is, someone's going to kill him. He's had death threats. He fears for the lives of people that are involved. He doesn't want these guys, Jake and Elwood, you know, the men in black, black hats, black tie, white shirt, black jacket, black pants, black shoes. He doesn't want a visit from those guys, Jake and Elwood, because he thinks that they might kill him. It's a very, very hard-worn T-shirt. This, you probably noticed that. I've worn I've got another one of these, but I can't find it. I've obviously worn this one out. The neck is all gone to pieces. But anyway, back to the point of the thing. So Ross Coulthart thinks Men in Black, Jake and Elwood are going to go and kill him. Now, there's always an excuse as to why any of these guys, these science fiction ET piffle peddlers, cannot show you any evidence. You know, I can't do that. You know, we can't disclose that until 2030. About that. You know, can't show you that. I fear for my life. You know, Jake and Elwood, they're going to come and kill me. It's every excuse under the sun. The last thing you will ever hear from a science fiction piffle peddler is, yeah, sure, I can show you some tangible evidence. I'll show you where that spacecraft is in the shed. Yeah, no problem. And this guy said, someone asked this fellow, this Matt guy, and they said, why didn't you ask Coulthart that? Because apparently he's been on his show. I don't watch much of this stuff, but I'll have a bit of a look occasionally to see if there's anything that I can have a laugh at, basically. And he said he didn't want to ask Coulthart the hard questions because he didn't want to get him offside. What sort of journalism is that? So this guy always deletes. If I put a comment on there, immediately deleted. Died in the wall fanboy. It's all true. He's not remotely interested in any alternative opinions with regard this stuff, and it hasn't occurred to him that you know, he's scared to ask the hard questions because he knows it's all rubbish. He's going to make Coulthart look bad on camera, or any of these other piffle peddlers. If he asks the hard questions, they're going to look bad because there's no substance to any of it, because it's all bloody rubbish. So this is this Matt guy on the Trouble What's It podcast, and he won't ask the hard questions. You know, so if you're a dyed-in-the-wall fanboy, you lap this stuff up lap it up. You're not interested in anything else, blinkered view, it's happening, it's real. I don't want to look over there because there's someone showing me it's all a load of rubbish with evidence to support what he's saying. That's Stephen Greenstreet. I don't want to look over there either. Steve Mumbling's pointing out all this other stuff that I should be looking at. You know, Stephen Greenstreet stuff. And I should be thinking about what questions I should be asking these people, why they can't show any evidence. I can't look at that. Oh no. And the other guy as well, it sounds like a cartoon character, you know. Well, yeah, you are. Died in the wall. He said it himself. He's sold on ET visiting. He's not interested in anything else. I don't know why he bothers putting a video out every day, you know. He's just, and he's saying he hopes that the next boss of Arrow is similarly thinking, you know. And he actually named someone that I think is an ET fanboy. And let's hope that he doesn't get put in charge of Arrow, because we want to see the truth, not more science fiction stories. Elizondo, of course, can't say anything until his book's released. I think this book's going to escape, to be perfectly honest. But all he's ever said in any interview is, stroke the goatee, I can't talk about that. So he can't talk about it, can't write about it, can he? The publishers are on tenterhooks, you know, they're waiting for these bombshell revelations from Lou Elizondo that aren't going to be coming. What else have we got? And apparently when someone asked to interview Lou Elizondo, they said, well, you can't ask Lou this, you can't ask Lou that, you know. Again, you know. Red flags abound. Can't ask them this, can't ask them that, can't talk about this, can't show you that. Red flags all over this visiting ET claptrap. And I was watching this other thing with, this is another guy always deletes my comments. He doesn't want you to see anything that might lead you to think that it's not true. That's Boris Karloff, I think his name is, something like that. And he was saying that he had another guy on there that actually he stopped deleting my comments recently, this other guy, but I'm still not going to mention his channel. But he's another one of these UFO fanboys. You can tell when these two get together, you know, it's real, you know. That's where their strong bias is. And they said that you know, oh yeah, well the Arrow report, it's rubbish. You know, they said this layered bismuth magnesium material. Arrow said it was a missile casing, you know, but they should have sent it to other universities and got it peer reviewed. Well, fair enough, yeah, okay. They probably didn't bother doing that because they knew it wasn't ET material, you know. But I thought this is the same bit of material. It's only a little tiny sliver of material that was given anonymously to Hal Puthoff. What a pedigree. Who then gave it to Bob Bigelow, who then gave it to Linda Moulton Howe, who had it tested. And it came back as terrestrial industrial waste from the Betterton-Kroll lead purification process. So when they purify the lead with this Betterton-Kroll lead purification process, you get layers on the surface of magnesium and bismuth. And it's going to be bubbling away, of course, so there's going to be pinholes of air in it and all that sort of stuff. They're not resonant cavities at terahertz that are going to give it anti-gravity properties. Demonstrate that and I'll believe it. Until then, it's science fiction rubbish. Yeah, so anonymously given to Hal Puthoff. Seriously? What a provenance. It's like these aliens in Mexico, you know. The guy that's putting these aliens forward, they're all jumping up and down. Oh, it's real, yeah. You know, he's got previous, as they say in the police, for putting up fake aliens. You know, he's been discovered 2 or 3 times in the past for trying to push aliens that are fake. Why should anybody take him seriously? And the Wilson memo. You know, Admiral Wilson said he knows nothing about this. Eric Davis apparently wrote this memo from memory. Eric Davis, remember, another one of the core of people that Sean Kirkpatrick is talking about. The science fiction stories come from the same core of people for years, if not decades. Eric Davis, psychically connecting to E.T., wormholes, So the provenance of that is it was written by Eric Davis. It has no provenance, does it? Admiral Wilson said he knows nothing about it, nothing about E.T. visiting or anything else. It's a lot of rubbish. I think they should subpoena Bob Lazar. I might have said this in the video yesterday. I haven't watched it since I recorded it, but Bob Lazar, there's a picture of Bob Lazar with a sort of Easter egg in a plastic bubble. And he said, this is element 115. So I think what they should do is subpoena Bob Lazar and get a sample of his element 115, distribute it to different universities and see what it actually is. It probably is an Easter egg. I mean, it's that time of year where you can buy these things quite easily, isn't it? It's probably full of Cadbury's cream eggs. Yeah, just one other thing. I mentioned Oumuamua yesterday, and I said that they looked at it with everything just to see if there was any emissions coming from it. Decided it was a rock. It's not technology. If it was an alien spacecraft, that would have been announced. Avi Loeb would have got his Nobel Prize, and we would know that we are not alone in the galaxy or the universe. One thing I think is rather peculiar, though, is not that I think it's an alien spacecraft, but that Avi Loeb said that Oumuamua, because it was a rectangle and it's quite flat, it could have been a solar sail, alien probe, solar sail. Now, I would have thought that someone in Avi Loeb's position would have been able to think about that and say, well, okay, let's pretend you are the sun, okay? You're spraying solar wind at me, okay? All the stuff that pours out of the sun all the time. And it's so powerful that you could actually use a solar sail. The sun could blow a solar sail along. What I find hard to believe is that you could get something as small as Oumuamua, if it was a solar sail. So this is Oumuamua, okay? It'll probably be about half as wide, I think, the actual dimensions of Elwood, compared to its length. But the motion of Oumuamua was that. It was tumbling, like that. So I'm tumbling towards you. You're the sun, okay? And remember, you've got all this solar wind blasting straight at me. I honestly don't think a solar sail could tumble towards the sun. I think that would be physically impossible. You could try an experiment at home, get a fan, big fan, switch it on, get a light piece of paper, and then try and get it to tumble towards it. It was actually tumbling sort of three-dimensionally, wasn't it? Sort of corner to corner, and then over, and then back again. I think that was the motion of Oumuamua. It wasn't like that. It was actually more like that. And I thought at the time, they're going to need a lot of seasick pills on there if there's a crew on that thing. You don't see Kirk and Spock and Scotty, tumbling through space on the Enterprise, do you? So I thought, pretty obvious it's not a solar sail. You're not going to get a solar sail with that kind of motion going towards the sun. It's just not going to happen. It's nonsense, rubbish. So, yeah, I'm quite happy to accept Oumuamua was a rock. The other thing too is, I'm sure they would have told us had it been an alien spacecraft. People say it's all secret, it's all, the government fabricates all this stuff all the time. Now, something I've never heard mentioned, and that is, everyone will say, well, when the Americans went into Iraq, there were no weapons of mass destruction, it was all bullshit. Now, that's the reason for the invasion is bullshit, for sure. The Americans thought they would have been on a safe wicket because the Americans had sold them anthrax previously. So they knew that Iraq had weapons. Anthrax is a weapon of mass destruction. Had that weapon of mass destruction. That's what they were expecting to find. That's what they thought would give them, the legit foundation for, or the legit reason for going in there. See, we found anthrax, weapon of mass destruction. Told you. What they didn't know was that Saddam had destroyed it all years previously. Now, if he'd have been a bit smarter, he would have just said, "Okay, I'll let the inspectors in. You can have a look around. Look where you like," because they would have found nothing, and then they would not have had an excuse to invade. But what people keep missing is the American government did not make up any weapons of mass destruction, did they? Seriously embarrassing for the Americans and the Brits and all the Allies. They go in there, there are no weapons of mass destruction. That's the whole reason for the war, and there's nothing here. They didn't fabricate troops finding weapons of mass destruction, did they? They didn't control the media. This is another thing you hear. Oh, it's all controlled. The media's controlled. They couldn't control the media and tell them all to tell the world that they found weapons of mass destruction. It's not possible to control the media. And people overlook this. So when they say, "Oh, this is all, it's all secret, it's all controlled, and all this sort of stuff," it's nonsense. It's not possible to control big secrets. If people were recovering alien spacecraft and there really was tangible evidence of extraterrestrial biological and technological material anywhere on Earth, it would have been revealed by now, by more than one person. It's all science fiction rubbish. Oh, and just as a finale, I think I'll tell you this. It's got nothing to do with the usual stuff, but I think the invasion of Iraq was nothing more than the Bushes at the ranch one Christmas, and they're all drinking the wild turkey or the Jack Daniels, whatever they drink. And I think Bush Senior said to George W., the guy that hates tourists, he's going to hunt down those tourists and he'll find those tourists and he'll bring those tourists to justice. George Jr. I think George Senior said to them at the table, sitting around the table, and I reckon he said, "We kicked Saddam's backside out of Kuwait, and I should have kicked it all the way back to Baghdad." And I reckon that George Jr. said, "I'll do that for you, Daddy." And I think it was as simple as that. Just so happened that it was just so happened that they had that incident that they could go, "Oh yeah, well, everybody knows Iraq was nothing to do with 9/11, nor was the American government. It wasn't an inside job either." But that was the ticket that they decided to use. But I think that's all it was. It was just George Senior saying to all the other shrubs, all the other little bushes, "I should have kicked his ass all the way back to Baghdad." And George Jr. said, "I'll do that for you, Daddy." And I think that's all that was. I saw another thing as well. This is another aside. I saw Donald Rumsfeld being interviewed on some TV program, and the guy says to him, "Oh yeah, but you sold stuff to Iraq, And Rumsfeld, "Here's a picture of you with Saddam Hussein." There's Donald Rumsfeld shaking his hand, smiling into the camera with Saddam Hussein. He goes, "Oh, that does look like me, doesn't it?" That's why they thought weapons of mass destruction was a solid ticket, because they'd sold them the anthrax. Simple as that. All right, well, let's hope I don't get a visit from Jake and Elwood after saying that. I don't normally do political stuff. But while we're on it, do I think the Western Western societies are being run into the ground. These conspiracy theorists say the governments are purposely destroying the societies of the West. You know, they're destroying all the commerce. That they want everyone to be broke. And I've heard this from several of these people that are sort of winding up quite a lot of subscribers, spreading all this bloody rubbish. And of course, no government wants people sitting on a dole. No government wants to have to fork out money to support people. Of course, every government on earth wants people to be able to support themselves financially. And these people can't seem to get that into their heads, you know. And electric cars, what do I think of electric cars? Electric cars, battery-powered electric cars are certainly not the future. They might be all right for whizzing around town if you can charge it at home overnight, but they're not practical they won't be practical for the sort of thing I do. I drive quite a lot in Australia. I get in the car and I might drive, 500 kilometres, 200 kilometres, and then drive back again. So, I'm not going to be doing that with an electric car. So, if they're electric cars but they're powered by hydrogen fuel cells, I can see that happening. Battery-powered electric cars, I think, are a flash in the pan, and they'll be gone. They'll disappear up their own exhaust. Well, they haven't got exhaust pipes, have they? They'll disappear up their own charging leads within the next 2 or 3 years, probably. It may be that there are some revolutionary things done with internal combustion engines. I think one outfit's getting one to run on ammonia, which doesn't produce any hydrocarbons out of there's no CO2 comes out of it. So it might go down that path, but battery-powered electric cars, personally, I wouldn't touch one. If someone gave me one as a gift, a brand new one as a gift, I'd sell it. I'd cut and run while I could. All right, well, that's just enough of that. I think I've covered everything. Just have a bit of a think about how ludicrous the claims of Ross Coulthart are. If that's true, what that guy said, he fears for his life. He can't show us where the alien spacecraft is because he fears for his life. He fears for the life of others. And what David Grush said when he was being interviewed, the woman said to him, "Why don't these other whistleblowers come forward?" And he said, "Well, they fear for their lives." And she said, "Well, why have you come forward?" And he said, "For my own personal protection." This whole ET business is complete and utter rubbish. As I said yesterday, it's a lot of people making a lot of money out of TV sales, out of TV series, book sales, appearance fees. They live for it, Oh, I've got to go to this conference. I've got to get a plane. I've got to go to this conference over here, it's all complete and utter rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Science fiction twaddle. As always, thanks for watching. All over the place with this one, I know, but it's just a couple of things I thought that sprung to mind as I was halfway through the video. Really, this is only going to be a quick one about Coulthart, Jake and Elwood. Are you boys with the FBI? No, ma'am. We're musicians. As always, if you've struggled through the video all the way to this point, many thanks for watching, and maybe I'll catch you again.